what these shows, full stop, both of them show the changing faces. Obviously, it shows about the kind of the numbers, I suppose, that there are lots of Muslims living in the UK. That's why you would imagine the morning show in particular is really important in terms of representation and also in terms of just illustrating, that a public service broadcaster basically takes a community of that size seriously, which we normally see in regions, like for instance, whether it be Leicester or London or whatever. But actually, this was national, so that's one. Two, obviously, it was about the variety of people. You've got Arabs, you've got Asians. We would have liked, we would have liked to have even more kind of cultural diversity. But you've got to remember, we're recording it on Eid, so we're getting people up to Bradford on Eid. I understand, you're away from your family. A lot of us were to make the show, So there is that. But also, what it also showed was that some people wanted to be there because they also knew this was a first. This was a in years to come, there'll be loads of programs on Eid, Diwali, whatever, and all that kind of stuff. But you'll never be the first one. So you want to be on the first one. So I think that it showed the sense of a community being represented, but it also showed some, not perfectly, but it showed some of the kind of cultural diversity within that kind of community. Because we can always get better. There were communities we would like to have had involved, but you can't force people to turn up, particularly when you're setting the bar quite high and saying you've got to be a celebrity or someone's got to know who you are, and you've got to. It becomes quite tough to kind of like get people in. People have got their own lives, and then I think the final thing that it showed as well for me was that it wasn't hidden, you know, it was celebrated as it was. We must always remember, I mean, Barney, you and I both know, we've worked for the BBC, we've worked for lots of broadcasters. The easiest thing to do is to hide it in the schedule, uh, not treat it like you would treat an other faith, and also kind of like, just pretend that actually, or try and sanitize it that it's not actually what it is. But the morning show in particular was the full service that you would get anywhere else. And actually, for that, that really shows something more, funnily enough, than the evening show does. It shows you that we don't have to make it so that it's palatable for absolutely everybody. Yes, we explain because we have a wide audience of non-Muslims watching it as well. But what we don't do is change it so that it isn't reflective of reality. And that, I think, shows a sign of we are arriving as particular different communities, because it shows you that our culture, our traditions, our lifestyle, etc., is becoming, if not already is, as equal as other people's.